Happy New Week. Welcome back to the Civic Lens. Today, the Civic Lens intends to zoom our lenses to a constituency located in Kakamega County called Malava Constituency. The reason why we are zooming our lenses to Malava constituency is because of the by-election that's supposed to be held in that constituency after the passing on of Honorable Malulu Idanje earlier this year on 27th of November 2025. Now there is a lot of interest in this by-election. The interest in this by-election, just like the by-election in Behere North, stems from the local community, and it has a ripple effect in the national stage of the political arrangements ahead of 2027. In this episode, we want to detail for you what led to the vacancy currently in Malava constituency and how the candidates that are being fronted to fill that vacancy causes a disunity within the UDA government itself and much disunity within the united opposition. Towards the end of this pod, we will take a look at the national arrangements ahead of 2027 and how they are affected directly by the Malava constituency by-election. So let's start with the Malava constituency. Prior to the existence of this vacancy, there was a member of parliament in Malava constituency called Honorable Malulu Idanje. Honorable Malulu Idanje got to that position through the ANC party ticket. The Amani National Congress Party, which belongs to Honorable Mudavadi, has since been folded and has been subsumed within the UDA party of William Ruto. Now currently, Mudavadi and William Ruto are brothers, with Mudavadi not having a solid party, but working under the doctrines and the playbook of the ruling party, the United Democratic Alliance. Now, Honorable Malulu Idanje died. And shortly after he died, there was immense interest that evolved from the Malava constituency to replace him. Now let's first understand the geographical standing of Malava constituency. Malava constituency is located in Kakamega. In Luhya Nation, there is a lot of different political bigwigs controlling different regions. You could say previously the entire Luhya Republic or the Mulembe Nation had been represented by 3 or 2 individuals, being Mudavadi, who currently serves in the government as Prime CS and dealing with foreign affairs, Honorable Wetangula, who is currently serving in the government as the Speaker of the National Assembly, and the disentangled DAP Kenya party leader Eugene Wamalwa. Previous to the current dynamics of Kenyan politics, and if we are taking a look at 2022 going back, these 3 gentlemen have for a long time been the voice that the Mulembe Nation rally behind. Let you not forget the bullfighter Boni Khalwale, who has also been very resound within the Kakamega area. So you could say previously ANC could easily win because the ANC party belonged to one of the key principles of the Mulembe Nation, being Mudavadi, and the Mulembe Nation would rally behind their people previously if you look at Kenyan politics up to 2022. You could say that UDA would easily have a win within the Mulembe Nation because most of the key principles of the Mulembe Nation, except for Eugene Wamalwa, are serving within the UDA government currently. So prior to 2022 and some few years after 2022, but not now, you'd say that if Ruto had an interest in Western, or if Mudavadi and Wetangula had an interest in Western, then most likely that interest would take the order of the day. We have seen now a shift from prior to 2022 following to what we are seeing post 2022. And you could say that with this shift, the Mulembe nation is now not rallying behind these three individuals, or rather four individuals that have previously dominated that area of leadership. And the Mulembe nation is now reshaping their focus to the young generation leadership. We are seeing leaders like Natembeya challenging the DAP Kenya party leader Eugene Malava in the national leadership of that party, intending to reshape it. We have seen Sifuna entering the region with the ODM party and having his own youthful followers who are loyal people following Sifuna, irrespective of whether he's in ODM or in whichever party. They are following his esteem to Sifuna. We're seeing the likes of Amisi now coming up and now rallying. They are following alongside Sifuna in the Kenya Moja alliance. Plainly, what we are seeing is that there could be a shift from the loyal leaders who had a grip of the Mulembe nation to a young group of loyal leaders who will have a grip of the Mulembe nation. Now, it's important at this point to understand the reason for the shift. And the reason for this shift is one, it's the UDA. UDA has disentangled people within the Western region and has disappointed a lot of hope within the Western region. That right now, if you are from the Western region and you are seeking support while you are aligned to UDA, most likely you will find the ground very hostile towards you. And so the fight we are seeing in Malava constituency that we are going to take a look at very briefly after this is no longer a fight against Mudavadi and Wetangula, against the like of, or rather between Mudavadi and Wetangula, against the like of Boni Khalwale, Cleophas Malala and the likes. No. It's a literal fight between UDA, the ruling party, and any other party that is not affiliated to UDA. Now, with that background of a shifting ground within the Mulembe nation, and with that background of the hostile ground that the UDA government is facing within the Mulembe nation, now let's take a look at Malava constituency. So the previous MP of Malava constituency passed on, and may his soul rest in peace. He was called Honorable Malulu Idanje. Shortly after Honorable Malulu Idanje passed on, within the UDF government, interest erupted. There was a gentleman who was supposed to run under the ANC ticket to replace Malulu, pardon me, under the UDA ticket to replace Malulu, who recently died. That was Honorable Enoch Adanje. And it was so sad that his death was, made known to his supporters by the Honorable Mudavadi himself. But he did not leave a vacuum, because power abhors vacuum. Enoch Adanje wanted to replace Honorable Malulu. Within the same confines, there's a gentleman called Ryan Injendi, who is actually the son of the deceased, who is also fronting his interest to replace his father using the UDA ticket. Within the UDA spectrum, there is also yet another gentleman, called David Ndakwa, who also feels like it should not come from the party position to impose a UDA candidate upon the citizens or the constituents of Malava. And the party should leave it for the constituents of Malava to decide within the ballot who they want to represent their interests. So we could say that within the UDA party that is supposed to front a candidate to replace their late candidate from the NC-UDA arrangement is a conflict. And the conflict is between the supporters of the late Enoch Adanje, who now do not know whether to rally behind Ryan Injendi or to rally behind David Ndakwa. But within the two principals themselves, Ryan Injendi, who is the son of the late, there is also a conflict with David Ndakwa, who feels like he is the fit candidate to take up the opposition. Now this would make sense because supporters of David Ndakwa says he is so rooted to the ground, he listens to the people, and he can actually take on the united opposition that will be fronted by Malala if is selected as the preferred candidate for UDA. But at the same time, the now young Idenji feels like he's in the best fit to replace his father. However, he admits that his politics is just like his father's, non-combative, non-violent and such like. He's not coming up with the vigor that David Ndakwa has. However, he intends to use the wisdom of his father, because he says his father used to even consult him very extensively when his father was the one in that position. So the Malava people who are supporting UDA government right now are torn whether to support David Ndakwa to take up on against the united opposition and deliver a win for the party, or to mourn their lost son, Honorable Malulu Ijendi, and give that particular honor of leadership to his son now in a way of remembering his legacy. This is going to play very tough for the UDA party, because as we are talking about Ndakwa that can take on the united opposition, Kenyan politics sometimes is aligned along the concepts of emotions. And we have seen in other parts of Kenya when, for example, within the Luhya community, the old Wamalwa died. The young Wamalwa was supported by the community to power. Within the Luo community, when the old Kajwang died, the young Kajwang, who was a brother to the old Kajwang, was supported to power wholesomely and still maintains power to date. These two arrangements within the Western area on how they support loyalty and they stand with each other during grief series will show you why the young Ijendi might actually overtake Ndakwa within the party primaries of UDA to contest or to represent Honorable Malulu, or to take over the position of Honorable Malulu in representing the interest of Malava people nationally. But this fight does not only exist within the United Democratic Alliance. If anything, the fight within the United Democratic Alliance might not see the light of the day. There is yet another camp that is being formed by the United Opposition that is also within its own system facing conflicts right now. So let me put this to context. You see, at one hand, we have the UDA party that has the late Enoch Adanji supporters, as Injendi's son supporters, and as David Ndakwa supporters. Out of this camp, they intend to front one candidate to represent the UDA party. Then on this other side, we have the united opposition that has candidates coming from both DCP and candidates coming from DAP Kenya. Now, the united opposition has been celebrated for rather projecting a united front. But we are seeing that perhaps they are not united when it comes to the Malava constituency by-election. This we also detailed within the Mbeere North constituency by-election, where we saw a sign of support when DCP party left the seat for the DP party, Muturi's party, to front a candidate. We were expecting to see the same in Malava. However, in Malava, the Luhya interest, which is a tribal interest, is now being seen against the united opposition's interest, which ought to be the national interest. And the Luhya interest is that they want their candidate from DAP Kenya to fill that seat in Malava constituency. Now, Honorable Cleophas Malala, who is the deputy party leader for the DCP party, has faulted the move by DAP Kenya and has said, show me one person within Kakamega County who is a supporter of DAP Kenya. This really confirms what Natembeya was telling Eugene Wamalwa sometimes back, that a party ought to have a national outlook. Because if a party is confined to a particular section of community and it lacks a national outlook, then that party lacks an adequate bargaining power. And so Malala is walking into that gap and telling the DAP Kenya party that your influence does not go beyond the Bukusu community. And this is not a Bukusu war. So let us front a candidate in Kakamega that will represent the interest of the national party at large. This statement should not be taken lightly. This statement shows that even within the arrangement of the united opposition, there are certain parties that feel they have a national outlook more than other parties. And this kind of feeling might really bring wars or conflicts ahead of 2026 when they are going to divide power amongst themselves. Imagine coming to a negotiating table to negotiate for a fair deal with an individual, and the individual you are negotiating with already sees you from the lenses of inferiority. That's the position that DCP now looks at the DAP Kenya party within the context of the Kakamega election. And so this might be really how DCP views the DAP Kenya party in the broader united opposition arrangement. But that aside, let's go back to Malava. So now, you remember out of the 7 by-elections, out of all these by-elections that are being held in this region, Ruto or the UDA only had 1 seat, that is the Baringo Senate seat. Most of these seats were left to ODM. ANC, DP also had the Mbeere North and these other minor parties. So it is a conflict for DAP Kenya to say we have actually a grip of our region because these by-elections are going on in our region and we can win. And it's also a conflict because the DCP party is having this opportunity for the first time to front candidates for by-elections, and they feel like this is the only determinant that they will have to show their supporters that they have a grip of the entire nation and just not the Mount Kenya region. So this conflict within the united opposition is very sound, with one group of lawyers feeling this is a lawyer by-election which ought to be won by a lawyer party because previously the individual who was serving in this cohort was a lawyer individual. And yet we see another party within the united opposition arrangement saying no, DCP party has been accused of having candidates just within the central region. This is an opportunity for the united opposition to sponsor a DCP candidate in a lower land to show the diversification of the DCP party ahead of 2027. So there are conflicts. There are conflicts within the UDA party which are very sound on whether they are going to choose the son of the deceased or they are going to choose a guy who can take up against the united opposition should they feel that the son of the deceased cannot. And then we are seeing a fight within the united opposition that is most likely to have an early win, saying no, this is a lawyer by-election, let us keep the mountain out of it. And one branch saying no, I am the deputy party leader of the DCP party and I am a lawyer myself, so let's give this an opportunity for the DCP party to front a candidate that we know we will sponsor and win. Now let us see why the Malava by-election matters nationally. You see, nationally, the success of the UDA party is attributed to Mudavadi's grip of his region, to Wetangula's grip of his region, and puts the UDA government look good ahead of 2027 election. This will really matter for the UDA party because right now the UDA party is receiving hostility from across a lot of parts of Kenya. So Wetangula and Mudavadi and Raila and Ruto coming together to ensure that there is a win for them within the backyard of Mudavadi, Wetangula and rather Raila makes Ruto perhaps, look good. And Ruto will look good ahead of 2027 if he can win the Malava constituency by-election without the support of Malala, without the support of Boni Khalwale, and without the support of all these other loyal leaders who do not want his grip in that region. Now that might be tough. And for the united opposition, this win means a lot. It means the diminishing influence of both Mudavadi, Wetangula, and Ruto in the region, but it also means two things. If the DAP Kenya party is led to have it, then it means that the lawyer party has now, or the lawyer grip has now shifted from Mudavadi's ANC to now Eugene Wamalwa's DAP Kenya party. But if the DCP party wins it, then it generally means that Ruto's grip of the western region has now shifted to Rigathi Gachagua. So it's by-election that might be local in nature but has a very intense national ripple effect, and that's why all eyes are looking at it. Now, this is the punchline here from the civic lens, that currently the ground is really hostile towards the UDA party, and so the win of either UDA party or the loss of UDA party, or the win of the united opposition or the loss of united opposition at Malava constituency specifically should not be used to be a determinant of whether there is a shifting power or a grip of power or such like things, but should be used as the clear lenses to show whether or not the government still has a grip of this region where most of its senior officials in government now hail from. We keep our lenses at Malava constituencies the same way we are keeping our lenses at Mbeere North constituency, because these two constituencies outcome will set a ground for how now the power dynamics shift ahead of 2027's political arrangement. Now on to our second story. There was a joke or humor that was made yesterday by Rigathi Gachagua when he was replying to a statement that had been made by William Ruto that his number 2 did not have education, and so for that reason he let him go to have someone who is educated.
Huyu naibu wangu mnamuonaje? Ni noma si noma? Ni fire si fire? Unajua ukitaka kufaulu, ukitaka kufaulu unatafuta deputy amesoma kuliko wewe. If you want to succeed, you put people around you who are more intelligent than you. Saa ile wanakusaidia kushine, you take the credit, wao ndio wanafanya job. Sindio?
Now let's take our minds back a bit. Around 5 months ago, Ruto did an interview with Citizen TV while he was now detailing why they fell off with Rigathi Gachagua. And in his interview, he said that from the first place when he was looking for a DP, it came down to a vote. And 25 people voted for Kindiki, 5 people voted for Rigathi Gachagua. And then he went ahead to pick Rigathi Gachagua. And after he picked Rigathi Gachagua, he's saying he was dealing with the constant cases daily. Either Rigathi was complaining about Kimani Ichung'wah, or he was complaining about Farouk, or he was complaining about Ndindi Nyoro, or he was complaining about members of parliament. And this complaint and series of disciplinary committees that the president had to sit in to make peace between these individuals and Rigathi Gachagua became so much that he saw the need to have him go. Now, later on he made a statement on education. And so Rigathi, yesterday while at Nyeri, used that platform to respond to the president.
I saw my former boss yesterday bragging how educated he is and saying that his former deputy did not have education. That is why he could not help him. Mwai Kibaki, the greatest president Kenya has ever had, a great man, very focused economist, went to the prestigious Makerere University for his bachelor's degree. Later on, he went to the London School of Economics for masters. He performed as Minister for Finance and Economic Planning. A great man, a great leader. In his 10 years presidency, Mwai Kibaki never took the microphone to lecture the people of Kenya about how educated he was. He never. Yet, the things he did, everybody can see. As we drove yesterday on the Thika Superhighway, in reaching Muthaiga, we remembered Mwai Kibaki. When you look at Nairobi, the bypasses that Mwai Kibaki opened, you marvel at how focused a leader can be. It is during the reign of Mwai Kibaki that there was free primary education. It is during the reign of Mwai Kibaki banks were hawking loans. You go outside a bank and you find a tent. Some little nice pretty girls calling you, please come, we'll give you a loan. There was too much money in the country, isn't it? All those who need money, I included. We did it during the reign of Mwai Kibaki. Not a single day did he brag and boast to the people of Kenya for how educated he is. When we look at the one saying how educated he is, in 3 years, the things he has done, abductions and extrajudicial killings, theft of public resources, destruction of the health system, destruction of the education system, gangs and militias harassing women all over. That, to him, is a benefit of education. So I was thinking about it last night as before I slept, and I analyzed how educated this man is. With all his degrees, and there are many, and I came to this conclusion. Yes, he has a PhD in lies and deception. He has masters in corruption, theft, and bribery. Bachelor's degree in abduction, extrajudicial killing, and ordering for people to be shot in the leg. The man has a diploma in mismanagement and destruction of working institutions. And he has a certificate in wash, tribalism, and dividing the mountain.
And in his response, Rigathi was highlighted two key things that are worth of consideration as a political issue here at the civic lands. You see, when Rigathi was talking about or comparing presidents, he did not say that Kenyatta was the best president Kenya ever had. Did not say that Moi was the best president Kenya ever had. Did not say that Uhuru Kenyatta, now the son of Kenyatta, was the best president Kenya ever had. Neither did he say that Ruto was the best president. But he stuck his comparison and contrast of Ruto to Mwai Kibaki, to just show how Mwai Kibaki was an outstanding leader, a leader that actually delivered to his people in a diligent, leader-wise manner, for lack of a better word. Now, this means something. And it means something within the arrangement of the united opposition as it stands right now on who they are going to rally behind come 2027. You see, Rigathi Gachagua not recognizing Uhuru Kenyatta's period of governance as anything worthy to mention or to compare William Ruto to is not by mistake. It's a very intentional move to show how Rigathi Gachagua does not really have much regard or respect to Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, Rigathi Gachagua not having regard and respect to Uhuru Kenyatta's legacy as a president during his 10-year term means that if Uhuru Kenyatta fronts Matiang'i as the candidate to represent the united opposition in 2027, Rigathi Gachagua is going to bolt out. It clearly shows that there is no room of negotiation between Kenyatta and Rigathi that will make Rigathi Gachagua bow his head down to Uhuru Kenyatta, even if the power dynamic within their tribe requires that. So this statement that Rigathi made did not only attack Ruto. We will look at the Ruto part, but the comparison was made so strategically to show that other than Kibaki, there has never been any other fit president to lead this country, or there has never been any other fit president who has led this country. That means he put a spit to the legacy and heritage of the old Kenyatta, to the heritage of Moi, to the heritage of the young Kenyatta, and to the heritage of William Ruto. And as I have said, we say again, if it is very real that Rigathi Gachagua has a distaste to Uhuru Kenyatta's legacy, then there is nothing that Uhuru Kenyatta is going to do to have Rigathi Gachagua bow down his interest within the united opposition for Matiang'i come 2027. But let's look at what is said about Ruto. He coined this reply that had Ruto having PhD in lies, masters in certain things, and certificates in wash and such like things. I feel like it's a disclosure that paints the president bad as a wash participant, a liar, a killer, and such like things. But there are statements that are used daily within the Kenyan political scene that perhaps now we have gotten used to them. It's just that if Gachagua does not have any disclosures yet to make internationally, then perhaps now this is Gachagua's opportunity making disclosures to us nationally, that all these rumors and links that have been tying Ruto to people doing wash and such like things are actually true. So coming from an individual like Gachagua sat in number 2, his statements, his political statements needs to be looked at very keenly, because either they convey his unity or disunity with his colleagues, or they convey the dirty deals that Ruto is doing locally that the USA might not be interested in the inquiry that Gachagua is now appearing before as a witness. But these political statements notwithstanding, the 2027 clock down is narrowing now sooner than ever, and the camps are in jittery. The united opposition is looking for a presidential flag bearer in a system that will not leave any principle enraged. In the UDA party, there is a consistent search for a number 2 for Ruto come 2027. And all these two concerns, either within the UDA party and the united opposition, will be put to rest with the by-elections in Behere North, and more especially the by-elections in Malava constituency in Kakamega County, where Boni Khalwale is currently the senator. This is the Civic Lens.